All right, so we're going to start by talking about how to make this flyer much more appealing, get rid of some of these spelling errors, all that great stuff. So here we have opened up our NP_WD_1-1 document from our data files that we downloaded before we started these. If you forgot or maybe missed one, totally okay. Go ahead and pause, re-download those, or if you can't find them, not a big deal. So first things first is we want to save this as something different. This is really important, especially if you have a master copy. Maybe they use this every single year and they just make minute changes to it or change the picture. It's always a good idea to save something as a name that is easily identifiable as well. So to resave, we're going to, instead of clicking up here, if we just keep clicking save, it's only saving it as this name. We don't want to change the name. We want to save it as something completely different. So we're going to go to File, and we're going to click Save a Copy. Now this may also say Save As. We're going to click Save a Copy. And the location will probably be where it already is located currently. You can change that by selecting Browse. Browse allows you to see your File Explorer and pick where you want this to be saved. I do want it saved here. And we are going to save this as NP_WD_1_flyer. So I don't have to backspace the whole thing. I can go ahead and just keep it there. Looks great. And I'm just going to click Save. And what this does is if I actually pull over my File Explorer for you to take a peek at, just pull this over. Notice I still have my original, which is the 1-1, but I also have 1_flyer. So I still have both of them, which is really helpful, especially, again, like I said, if you're working with other people's documents. All right, so now we're going to work on grammars and the grammar settings. I'm going to show you where to find these. These are something you may not want to always mess with. It just may be helpful because remember in the last one, we did ignore a word or two, especially name spelling. So this is just a great way to double check this. So we're going to go into File, and then depending on your screen size, this may say it already, but I have to click More, and we're going to go to Options. So this opens up a lot of options about the Word program in general. And we're going to go to the one that says Proofing. And we want to make sure we're down where it says when correcting spelling and grammar in Word. So this gray header, this is the area we're looking at right now. And we're going to go to where it says Settings. And this is super interesting. There's a lot of things you can look at in here. There's a lot of things already checked. This is what that spell check is actually looking at. So you could actually turn on missing end punctuation if you're missing that, question mark missing. There's a lot of different things you can check and uncheck in here. Just be aware of what you're checking and unchecking. We're going to go down to where it says consciousness. And as default, normalizations and wordiness are both automatically check marked. And those were what we looked at in our letter. If you remember, we had actually, and we had the name that we had decided to ignore. So we're actually going to just make sure that those are still checked. And we're going to hit cancel because we didn't really change anything. And we're going to select recheck document. This allows us to recheck the entire document kind of back to those original settings. It kind of gets rid of our ignore all, it gets rid of all that. So it's like we're fresh. This is especially important if you have not closed Word. If you've closed Word completely, this really isn't a necessary step, but it's just a good tip to know. We're going to go ahead and click Yes, and we're going to hit OK. So it's going to, and notice it does catch the Alzacar right now. It's catching that word that we originally ignored. And like I said, this is not necessary all the time, just as a good practice if you are working in Word a lot and haven't closed it. All right, so now we're going to talk about making this look nice. So we're going to check this document for some spelling and grammatical errors. As you can see, there's quite a few. So we're going to actually use another keyboard shortcut, which is Control Home. So we use Control End, that takes us to the very end of our document. If I hit Control Home, takes us to the very beginning. Again, that Control key is very helpful. So this is where we're starting. So we want to be at the very beginning. And we're going to go to our Review ribbon. And Review, I like to say this is kind of the proofreading side of things. There's a lot of things that can be a helpful tool for you, but we're going to actually use the Check Document button. So the Check Document button is going to be in here somewhere. I always lose this little thinker. That would be why they updated it. So originally it was called the Check Document, but we're actually going to click where it just says Editor. Okay. So Editor is going to pop over here on this left-hand side, and this is actually really helpful. It gives us some great information. It tells us we have 100 words. We can click this down writing and we can say what kind of writing we're doing. But we're interested in the spelling. So if I click spelling, it's going to go through each of these spelling things. And this is what we did earlier with the right clicking, but this just goes through it much faster. It's all done in one space. So this tells us, okay, we need your help to protect. That's not how we spell that. We want it to be protect. I just simply click. Contact. Pretty sure that's supposed to be contact. And it tells me there's another spelling error. If I click this again, it's going to get Alzakar. Now, we know that's how his name is spelled. We have the option to ignore once or ignore all. For this situation, I'm going to go ahead and click ignore once. This ignore once allows it, if I type this again, it's going to show that it's misspelled. It can be a little annoying. This will prevent you from having to go to that proofing settings that we just looked at a little bit ago. So I'm going to ignore once. Looks great. We're going to check our grammar as well. Be heard. Oh, it looks like they have 2 periods there. That's not quite right. We're going to just go ahead and change it to 1. Nice and easy. And notice that it then gave me some clarity information. So if I click there, it's saying, let your voice be heard. It doesn't have any suggestions, but it may be just letting me know, this may not be the best wording. I'm going to keep that in the back of my head. This might be something I want to look at. So we're going to go ahead and close this. And if you're finished in it, you can actually just click the back arrow, check anything else. It just kind of gives me, this looks great. I can go ahead and close this. And super nice. We can see it took care of all those nasty little red underlines and took great care to make sure this looks really nice. Again, this is telling me it's in clear. If I right click on it, it's going to give me the same thing that I just saw. It doesn't have any suggestions. I like the way it sounds. I'm going to just ignore this. I don't need to worry about it. And again, this comes where your personal judgment and your knowledge of grammar comes into play. Word can only help us so far. All right, so that is it for a nice, easy way to edit. I really like this little guy now that I know where he is because they like to change things on me. So that is it for this short video. If you want to go ahead and take a little quick break and come back, we're going to change the page orientation. Well, I guess we could do that real quick. We got a couple of minutes. All right, so we want this flyer to be a different we want this to be landscape. You're like, landscape? We want trees? No, we want this to be oriented landscape. So we're going to go to our view and we're going to zoom to the one page so we can see this. We can see it's vertical. This is called portrait. And then we're going to go to our layout. This is where we were for margins. And notice I have something that says orientation. If I click this down, I have 2 options, portrait or landscape. Looks great. And we're actually going to do a narrow margin for this. So remember our shortcut margins in the same place. We have a pre-made one that says narrow. As you can see, it just kind of moved that straight up. And this is where we're going to really start to make the magic of this flyer look great. So for the fun part. We're going to move on to the next parts of the video, so take a break for reals this time, and we're going to come back at the next part and finish up this beautiful flyer.